Chinese government is considering an acquisition route that would see Elon Musk taking over the popular video app, possibly saving it from being effectively banned. That's according to Bloomberg News. For more on this, we're joined by Jim Anderson. He's the CEO of Beacon Software. Good to see you again, Jim.
Good to be here.
Now, selling to TikTok US to Musk, is that any kind of workable solution, do you think?
Yes, is the short answer. Whether it happens, I mean, it's fascinating how these things crop up. That was just reported on this morning. It seems to be a trial balloon. There's no indication that Musk wants it, although, you know, he likes big things, and certainly the politics line up to where he could be an acquirer. I think the most interesting thing is the fact that he's got significant business already in China with Tesla, and that's very appealing to the Chinese government.
Now, we know that President-elect Trump has done a reversal in this area on TikTok. He wanted to ban it, and then he saw how well it did for him during the election campaign, so he's fine with it. Will he have some influence ultimately in the decision-making process, or is this strictly Department of Justice?
Well, you'd have to think he has some influence. I mean, elections have consequences is the saying that a lot of people, usually the winning party, likes to talk about. The elections have consequences. And it's clear he has opinions, and I think he will weigh in. But, you know, this is an act of Congress. It was signed into law. There is a Department of Justice. So it's a complex, issue that I don't think he can just resolve, for instance, with executive orders. That's what he tried the first time around, and that was overturned, for a variety of judicial reasons. So I think it's tricky. And everybody, including China, is looking for an elegant solution, a face-saving solution, if you will, for China, something that accomplishes, what the U.S. Congress, passed and was signed into law, but allows China to, not lose hundreds of billions of dollars in value or destroy an asset that has hundreds of billions of dollars of value, and also to allow them to not lose face in sort of global geopolitical terms.
What about any conflicts of interest or ethical optics of Musk possibly taking over TikTok US with him being so close to President-elect Trump right now? What would you make of that if it did go through? And would other social media companies suffer because of it?
Well, I think there are enormous conflicts of interest, but the current political climate, I'm not sure that much matters to people. It certainly didn't seem to matter to voters in terms of conflicts of interest with Donald Trump and his business interests, those kinds of things. And so I suspect what people would say is we have an army of lawyers who can work through all of that. Whether it would be worked through adequately or not is a different question. You do raise a good point, though, about the other social networks. They will certainly benefit from, if for some reason TikTok goes dark or, is taken down, new downloads from the App Store are stopped, that's going to benefit other social networks. The converse of that is if TikTok continues to go strong, then, it's a more competitive marketplace for attention. So, you'd have to believe that they would rather TikTok, be weakened.
Now, Jim, TikTok US has this proprietary algorithm. And can you see any type of sale that would satisfy security concerns in the US and China?
I could see something that would satisfy it. I'm not sure the Chinese government would agree to it, right? I mean, we'll sell our algorithm, or we'll allow the TikTok, because remember, TikTok is a subsidiary of ByteDance, and ByteDance serves other countries around the world with similar social networks that use the same algorithm. So, it'd be a question of, are you going to allow, is the Chinese government going to allow you to duplicate that algorithm hosted in the United States by a U.S. company? That seems highly doubtful. Are there solutions? Are there half measures or other ways they could carve it out? Of course there are. Whether those are as good, how much they affect TikTok's algorithm and its success and its popularity, those are all open questions. But, if like-minded parties are around the table trying to find a solution, there are paths here. It's not clear, though, that they're like-minded or what that solution actually will be.
Now, there are some TikTok users who are trying to get ahead of this decision. We know that the Red Note has become very popular on the Apple App Store. This is also Chinese-owned. So would that be a viable alternative, or would that company run into the same kind of problems?
I think with success, it's going to run into the same problems. I mean, it's good. And, what TikTok would say, and really what any of the big tech platforms would say, when they're criticized about antitrust is, look, there's plenty of innovation. There are plenty of other apps. But, Red Note is hardly even rounding error when it comes to TikTok, Meta, that scale. Yes, it's possible. And I do think that gets to the heart of the free speech concerns, right? People saying, hey, my free speech is being suppressed. The counter to that is, no, it's not. There's plenty of places you can post your content. There's plenty of social networks. The problem is those don't have the reach, they don't have the scale, they don't have the algorithms of TikTok. So, if you're a content creator who's successful on TikTok, the last thing you want to do individually is go have to build a new audience and try to be successful on a platform like Rednote or any other platform for that matter.
And just lastly here, Jim, quickly, if you could, we're just going to wrap it up. But so we're talking all about TikTok, but you think this just pales in comparison to what potentially could come from tariffs. So why do you say that?
Well, China and the U.S. are, sort of locked in a geopolitical struggle, right? I mean, there's tariffs, there is Taiwan, there's the potential for armed conflict if things continue to escalate. So, it sounds a little pejorative to say that TikTok is just a piece on a chessboard, but in reality, it is. It may be a very important piece, it's a very lucrative piece, but you just look at the overall scale of the conversations and the potential disputes between the U.S. and China, you have to think that TikTok is just one of the pieces of the puzzle. And certainly when President-elect Trump becomes President Trump, he's going to have a lot of those geopolitical concerns that go far beyond social networks, right? That really truly do get into those tariffs and the potential for escalation around Taiwan.
Thank you for all of that context, Jim. We'll talk to you again. Thank you.